Castlevania Symphony of the Night is a 6 out of 10. If I were to say that in the current climate of the internet, people would abolish death penalty. But that wasn't something wrong back in the day. What I think it's really interesting was to look through game magazines and see how games that weren't being discussed are basically 9s out of 10. But at the same level, the games that people were talking about and people were interested in were being totally demolished. What you can see through this review is using the old generation to haunt the viewer. Although the game is a little better than the SNES version, at the end of the day, it is basically still a SNES game. I remain under no illusion that this game is anything more than an old style platformer that belongs on the 16-bit machine. We gotta talk about the elephant in the room, which is this review was created in the era that I call the dark ages of 2D, where 3D games were rising at the time. And for some reason, every magazine was basically framing 2D games as an old relic that cannot be popular anymore. Castlevania is now competing with the likes of Crash Bandicoot, Croc, instead of a 2D platformer with basic jump and shoot gameplay. Since this magazine has more than one reviewer, they even laid some comments in this one. This looks ancient, plays like a 5-year-old Mega Drive game. 40 quid for this khaki looking SNES refugee. See, they didn't like refugees back in the day too. The better part of a decade ago, this might have been a pretty good game, but I'm afraid it just doesn't cut the mustard anymore. Avoid like the clap. That's what I think is alarming about that generation. They admit that the game is good, but they just cannot get that score. One interview that also comes to my mind is, and one of the Capcom representatives were expressing how 3D games, they have the good looks, but they lack in the gameplay department, which it is kind of true for a bunch of PS1 games. Sometimes they were sluggish, sometimes they didn't know how to use the 3D in itself. And this weird emphasis of saying that the game is 16-bit or even a Mega Drive game, it's right now what the indie industry tries to emulate the most and basically cannot even get close to it. And this whole topic is exactly what I'm talking about in this video right here, where I'm trying to answer the question, when this propaganda era started, when did it end, and of course the impact on the indie industry.